All right, guys, we're back for episode 35, 50-50 Showcase. My attempt to run through a whole bunch of City of Heroes characters that I have, all level 50s. I am currently on episode 35, Galatea, my fifth and final mastermind of the bunch. I've done blasters and controllers and corruptors and defenders and dominators, etc., etc. And I'm on Mastermind since the last one. She is Beasts, Radiation Emission, and Leviathan. Let's take a look at her mids build. There we go. Scoot it down a little bit for you. There it is. All right, so take a look. I've got just about everything sitting here in Beast Mastery except for the single target call swarm bee swarm attack. I really don't like the look of that power. It's just doesn't really fit my opinion. Bugs, but anyway. Then I've got radiation emission. Most of that except for the res, the exploding corpse bomb, and then EMP, which is PBAOE hold and whatever. I like EMP Pulse in many circumstances, but just not super useful or useful enough, I guess, in this build, so I didn't take it. And I really don't need the resurrection there or the exploding corpse. I can't use them on my pets, so this is really only useful for team, these two powers, and I am my own team with this build. Other than that, I've got your standard leadership package that I've taken. I think on all of my mastermind builds because you get so much bang for buck on this one, right? Not only do you benefit from maneuvers, assault, and tactics, but all your pets do as well. So it's a guaranteed total boost of everything for your pet team here. I also went into the fighting pool pretty heavily. That's because you're going to see me going into melee with this character. Melee, yes, I'm going to melee. So I've got the fighting pool. And then I've taken Leviathan Mastery. So Leviathan Mastery is the one that Captain Mako awards if you do his patron arc. Well, you do any patron arc, you can take it. But I've taken it right here. School of Sharks, Bile Spray Shark Skin. That kind of fits with the animal theme, right? School of Sharks. Bile Spray is a big old pukey spew, which I like. That's a cone immobilize. You've seen from some of my other Mastermind um, builds so far, you can tell that, mobilization is probably pretty useful in most circumstances. And then Shark Skin is a damage resistant shield, smash lethal and cold. So between this and Tough up here, I'm going to have some decent survivable, resilience numbers. So that is the overall look of the build and the different power sets I've taken. Now let's take a look at the sets that I put in here for IOs, and then let's take a look at the incarnates. Speaking of incarnates, make sure these are off so that my numbers are going to be legit without them. Okay, there we go. And I'm also going to turn off pop-offs or pop-ups so that doesn't keep getting in the way. All right, so let's take a look. I've got similar builds to what you've seen me have with my other pets before. I've got ATO sets sitting out here. I've got recharge intensive pet sets sitting out here. However, this is the most different combination I have. And I can't really go back and tell you exactly why I went 6-slotted in certain ones and 2-4 mix and matching in other ones. I don't necessarily remember off the top of my head. So don't ask, I guess. But with this one, I think I might be able to answer this one. Turn the pop-ups back on for a second. I mentioned this a couple builds ago that the Mark of Supremacy, simply 2-slotting it, will give you the +10 recharge bonus. So if you take a look at what I did do, I put 2 of them here in Summon Wolves, 2 in Summon Lions, and 2 in Summon the Dire Wolf. So I was going for the recharge. So I got 10, 20, 30 by doing it that way. Then I only got 4 slotting on the other ATO set, Command of the Mastermind, one of which is the AoE Defense Aura. And that's also going to give me another 10% recharge. So all 4 of those, pairings or quads here gives me a total of 40% recharge. So I was really leaning into trying to get as much recharge as I could. And if you take a look, I've got 87.5%. That also does not include accelerate metabolism. AM, when you click that, has some recharge as well. So if you click it, you can see I go up to 117.5. But what I was shooting for, as I think about it now, is I was trying to get accelerate metabolism to be, I don't want to say perma, but pretty close. If you look at it right now, the recharge is 147. The duration is 120 seconds. So I'm off by, 25, 30 seconds. But when I actually click accelerate metabolism, I've got the recharge down to 133. So I'm only off by about 13 seconds. So I have near perma accelerate metabolism. AM is a great power. It increases your recharge speed, recovery, and then adds a damage boost across the board. So that's kind of the good thing about it. If you take a look at the actual numbers here, it's a 15% damage boost, 30% recharge boost. And it gives you faster recovery, resistance to status effects, so holds and sleeps and things. So you snap out of them faster. So you want to get this thing up as quickly as you can. Plus, it's going to bring back a bunch of my recovery. It's a 61% recovery boost the way I have it slotted right now, with a bunch of NMod recharge, NMod endurance reduction recharge, NMod recharge, and endurance mod endurance. So it's heavily slotted for endurance, but I have a lot of recharge in it. The endurance cost itself is pretty high. It's like 15.6 normally, but I've got it down to 8.8. So I will be able to click it quickly. It's only going to be down about 15 seconds on average. Otherwise, it's going to be up and perma boosting my damage, recovery, speed, etc. So if you add that, damage boost plus assault is going to give me a damage boost. Take a look at assault's numbers real quick just to give you the idea here. Assault is going to boost damage 11.25%. So I've got that. Accelerate metabolism's damage boost to 15. So, you're looking at what, 26, 27, 28% damage boost, something like that. So that's nearly a level 50 worth of single origin, which usually I think it's 33%. So I'm pretty close to having an extra damage slot just about in most of my attack powers. Not quite, but close. Okay, so that's the benefit there for just not me, but all the pets as well. I can put out extra damage because overall this is a fairly high damage mastermind here. As I already mentioned, I'm going to be going into melee a lot. And once I'm in melee, these beasts are going to tear things into A. So I need to have as much damage as I can get going. Then I have the auras, right? I've got the bonus aura for defense called Arms down here. I've got the resist bonus aura over here. Where did I put the other one? I've got the, I think it's over here in Dire Wolf. I've got the resist regen boost. I've got the recharge pet AoE aura. So I've got all the different auras on top of everything else. And then this is giving me 6.25 recharge boost with the called arms, and the same thing with the 4 slotted expedient reinforcement. So I got the recharge, plus I get the 3% damage on that one. This one gives you some recovery boosting. So you can kind of see I was going for a lot of recharge, a lot of damage. I've got that pretty well slotted everywhere. Tough and weave, I've got those slotted with Luck of the Gambler plus global recharges for maneuvers up here. Weave's got that built in, so there's some more recharge I got pulled out of this build. Then I've got the standard debuffs from radiation. I got radiation infection. I talked about this a little bit in the theory crafting build that I was discussing for airdrop if I were to redo him as a mercenaries radiation. Radiation infection here. This is minus defense, minus to hit. I slotted it mostly for the minus to hit, so that'll help my survivability. And I also did throw in the defense debuff plus the endurance because this thing also is a fairly heavy endurance draining power. If you just leave it toggled on, it's going to be draining normally 0.5. I got it down to 0.24. You also have your toggle, where is it? Enervating field. This does not take any, doesn't take any, sorry, any set bonuses. So I've just got it double slotted with 50 plus fives on my actual live build so that I have it down to, I have it pretty much cut in half for its endurance cost. It's down to 0.3. That lowers damage of enemies and their damage resistance. So your two toggles, radiation affection, enervating field, they help to nerf the enemy's resistance, their hits, their damage, their defenses. So you're gonna be putting out more damage. You're gonna be taking less damage. That's gonna increase your survivability. Combine that with your two armors you're wearing. Combine that with your bodyguard, with your pets. You're gonna have really high survivability. And then the cherry on top is like you saw I had with Spore King, my ninja nature. Radiation also has a PB AoE auto hit aura hold, choking cloud. So I've got this thing slotted for endurance hold, endurance hold, endurance hold. So I have lots of hold duration on it. Durations could be close to like 10 seconds roughly for anybody that has held. It's only a mag 2, but then I threw in the lockdown chance for mag 2 proc. So it's actually going to be procking mag 4 holds, which is going to hold tenants and bosses and everybody. I think bosses have a mag 4 resistance for hold and stuff. And then I threw in the unbreakable constraint, purple here, the chance for smashing damage. So I've got some damage coming out of this thing. So basically I just need to walk into melee. Things gonna start getting held. You saw me do this with Spore King, with my ninjas, and just like with my ninjas, my beasts are melee. They're gonna go off and start tearing into things. And then I've got all the debuff toggles to make the damage go through much more easily and hit harder. And then I actually have some decent damage. I've got a single target attack called Hawk. I've got the cone called Ravens, and I put the chance for resistance debuff in that. I then went with Leviathan. I took School of Sharks, the immobilize, and I slotted it for damage. Put a damage proc Posse's Blast in that one. I took Bile Spray, which is another cone attack, and have the other chance of resistance debuff. So I've got ways to lower damage resistance just with that power and the Ravens over here. That's going to increase, overall damage output of the build. And last but not least, the other big power that is important is the click, the targeted splashy, I guess you want to call it, lingering radiation debuff. So you target somebody in an AoE, and everybody around them gets minus speed, minus recharge, minus regen. So it's a nice debuff. They're going to move a lot slower, and if they're bigger boss types, they're going to regen is going to be a nerfed on those guys, and that's going to team up nicely with your School of Sharks mobilize. So you're able to before you even run in, right, you're hitting them with School of Sharks, Bile Spray, Lingering Radiation, and Call Ravens. You got these four, key attacks that you can just unload before you even jump into melee, where Choking Cloud goes off and all your pets start just taking them apart. The other power I have is Fortify Pact. This is a nice PB AoE defense boost, regen boost to your pets. So your beasts are going to get a nice plus defense, plus regeneration. And it consumes your pack mentality, little, whatever you want to call it, perk type things. When you click this, all your pets get, boost damage or defense and regeneration. So it's a survivability click for your pets within range of you. It's a PBAOE. All right, those are the main powers I've taken from the set The other weird thing is I do have Victory Rush. I don't know if I've had this in any of my other masterminds, but I haven't on this one. So I like this power from the leadership pool. If I can take it, I'll throw it in. To me, it's better than Vengeance because Vengeance requires somebody to die. And if your enemy, if your allies are dying, well then maybe you suck. I don't know, or they suck, or they had it coming. I don't know. It's not that useful just because not everybody's dying every turn. Whereas Victory Rush, every time it's up, you can use it because it keys off of a dead target and it boosts recovery. So it's a nice way to get your blue bar refilled. And for giggles, I slotted it with Performance Shifter plus N. So when I click it, not only do I get the plus recovery, I got a chance for a shot of just straight up endurance when that thing procs. And I also took Numinous because I think you're going to see that my totals, uh, end drain's pretty high. 1-6, especially if and I don't think I even have the toggles turned on. If I turn on the toggles, enervating field, radiation infection, you can see my end drain is 2.2. My recovery is only 3.1. So that's only a 1.5 to 1, if that. So I got issues with endurance. That's why I need to hit accelerate metabolism. But if Victory Rush is off, if Accelerate Metabolism is off, I'm not getting a lot of any blue stuff. So I need to get those two to fire as often as I can because I'm going to be running those toggles often. If I throw in Sprint, that's also going to be a drain, right? It takes me up to 2.4. So I have Numinous to help with that, regen, recovery. I've got the Victory Rush, and I've got the Accelerated Metabolism. So that's the other reason why I wanted the extra recharge to get the accelerated metabolism back sooner so that I can get my recovery to stay high. And so if I go ahead and start looking at my incarnates, that's the last thing to take a look. I've got yet again support core, and the big thing on Masterminds, at least for me, is hey, it acts like a leadership double package. So I've got the damage, accuracy, defense, which I already mentioned the utility of that for my whole group of pack animals. So I click that. That's going to give me even better numbers damage wise for everybody, right? That is giving me, see if it shows up here. Your damage is another 12%. So you got 12% from that. You've got 12%, almost 11% here from your assaults. That's 23 and some change. Your accelerate metabolism was giving you 15. So that's what, 38, 39. So that's IO 50, level stuff. That's 42% I think is a standard uh level 50 IO. 53% is if you have a +5, like you see here. So I've got pretty much when those powers are clicked, I've got extra level of, a single level 50 red damage IO in all my attacks and all my pets. That's one of the things. And then again, this also is going to provide an endurance discount across the board when I have that. So if you take a look now at the totals, when I activate it, okay, it's going to help with my endurance issues because it's going to add some endurance reduction. Okay, it takes me to 24.8%. That's just it slotted. So my powers are all, reduced endurance 24, 25%. So it's kind of like having like a half of a level 50 IO of blue endurance reduction in all my powers just by having that slotted. I have musculature. That's going to boost damage mostly is why I have that. So again, more damage boosting. If I take a look at the numbers on musculature, let me unlock that. Musculature is going to give me another 11%. So now I've got like 60 some percent damage boost across the board with musculature activated on top of the other stuff I already mentioned. So you put that all together, I've got almost 2 reds full, standard traditional level 50 SO levels, those 33%. I've got about, that much of extra slotting. So it's kind of like I have an extra 2 slots in all my damage powers just because I've got all this bonus damage. So this character can put out some decent damage. I grabbed Void because as I already mentioned, I'm going to be going into melee. So Void's a nice PBE exploding damage. And it has a nice minus damage debuff, so that'll help my survivability. I'll say other thing about musculature, I almost forgot. It also has the endurance mods that's going to help with, keeping my blue bar filled. So if I go back to my totals, you can see that changing. My recovery goes up a little bit when I click this, 3.2. So that's going to help out a little. It's boosting the immobilize of my sharks there. It's boosting the defense and to hit debuffs of my toggles, radiation infection specifically. It's going to benefit from musculature and then run speed, so I can run faster. My pack can run faster. Accelerate metabolism also increases my speed, so that's going to pair up with that, so I can move really quickly. And then I've got degenerative. That's your max hit point debuff, toxic DOT. So that's gonna help me against hard targets like AVs. So this character can, try to solo AVs, that sort of thing, just with the debuff toggles I've got. Lingering radiations minus regen. You throw in degeneratives minus max HPs. I can take down some pretty hard targets with this character. And then I've got Clarion, which is going to give me the boosts to my controls, boosts to debuffs because it boosts special, and it gives me status protection, which I don't have anything like that on this character. It's one of my masterminds where I don't have any way to protect myself. So Clarion, boom, that's going to help me with the mez stuff, help the beast with mez stuff. And it's going to boost my range, which I've already talked about range boosting. That's always a nice thing throughout the area, especially let's say toggles. I'll throw a toggle across the street. I can throw lingering radiation way across the room. So that's a nice, useful little perk. And then I took the Banished Pantheon because they are, I guess, the most beastly looking of the pets that are in the incarnates. By the way, side note, that's one of my issues I have with the incarnate pets is they're all too game literal. They're all based upon factions in the game. And a lot of times that doesn't fit your character's theme. I've got an animal, radioactive animal, whatever, caretaker here. And what does that fit incarnate wise? The only thing I can think is maybe the Banished Pantheon or some mutant freak creatures. I don't know. Anyway, that's the build. That's Galatea. She's level 50. She's going to go run into melee and just start spreading nuclear infection all over stuff, and her pets are going to tear them into pieces. All right, I'm going to go ahead and run some solo and some team stuff so you can see the build in action. We shall be back with that later.